Hello, um, welcome to this video where I'm going to explain um, how would I call it? Maybe a little stuff. I won't call it a framework. We're working on the like base code for our upcoming applications. The objective is to have a code base that is solid, that handles uh, the basic stuff like security, registration, layout, and we're uh, giving some extra emphasis on the security aspects. So we want to have a base code that takes care all of that, so that we during the project we can focus more on the functionalities, like the business functionality, like creating the pages, creating the API um, that loads data for each one of those pages and stuff like that, without having to worry about things that I just mentioned before. So this application is the typical web application. So we have uh, the web UI, the front end application, and it is implemented using React.js, but it is not completely client side code. We're using a framework called Next.js, yeah, which is based on React, that provides some benefits because it splits your code during the build. You also got a chance to initialize your pages or your React components on the server. Yeah, it speed things up, and on more importantly, from my perspective, especially um, my my emphasis on security, we can exert the security policies for each pages in the server, which is more secure than having it implemented in the client-side code. So we're using Next.js. That's our uh, choice for our web application. This is a very good framework. And what else? Uh, we have that. And for the authentication, all that security stuff that I mentioned, we are using a dedicated identity and access management solution from Red Hat. That's called Keycloak. Let me just open quickly. Yeah, this one. This is a very uh, complete identity and access management. Um, the reason we want to delegate, uh, you know, this aspect to a dedicated server like this one is because we don't want to, we don't want to make too many modification. Well, ideally, we shouldn't modify our code whenever there's a changing uh, like security policies. The ideal would be uh, to to do it directly here in the Keycloak administration console. For example, let me just show you quickly what we can do. Some of the things that we can do in this web console. Let's see here. This is our application that is protected, with Keycloak. We can, specify well, to begin with, the simplest one, we can specify roles here. Of course, we register our user here. Uh, assign assign roles to those user here. For example, this user rex01, it has these roles. And furthermore, we can have something more advanced called uh, authorization, like a more fine-grained control uh, of access to our resources. So we can specify resources. It can be anything. It can be pages. It can be API endpoints. We just have to uh, register it here and then specify some policy. We have some built-in policies here, and if we need to, we can even write a policy in JavaScript. Um, for example, a simple policy here, role. Um, for example, we want to uh, require that the user has certain roles uh, in order to be able to access a specific resource. So here, for example, I, I need that the user has this role, so I create this policy, and then finally you combine this resource and these policies to create a permission. So basically, permission says something like, "Hey, for this resource, uh, you need to comply. The user need to, uh, you know, comply with these policies. Only then he will be allowed to access that resource." So this kind of uh, requirement, which security or business requirement, can be externalized instead of having it hard coded in each one of our application. So that is a great you know a great help for us as a programmer. What else? We have the Keycloak. We have, of course, the database for the application, and we have the database for the Keycloak. We we have Redis. That's for the session, to keep around the sessions of this application. Yeah, so those sessions, that those user sessions can survive uh, server restart, because uh, this this container can, for some reason, it can crash or whatever, and then Kubernetes will take care of restarting those the server. Uh, but thanks to this Redis, user is not going to be kicked out because of that, because the session still lives on this Redis server. Okay, so what is the application? This is just a simple one. So this application that has two pages. One is something that I call free page. The other one is a premium page. And as you might have guessed, the free page can only be accessed by user that has a role free subscriber or premium subscriber. And the premium page can only be accessed by user who has the premium role. Okay, so let's start with registering. We're new users, so let's register to the site. Raka01 at email.com. Oh, before I continue, there's also another aspects. You know, um, integrated into this base code. They are the tracking. So We track everything if we need to. Of course, let's start with the user access, right? Uh, so activities like log in and log out, they are log here. So I've been following this, approach for the last couple of years, 1 or 2 year maybe. That let's not delete anything from the database. So we will have to, for the normal user session where the user log in and then after some time logs out, he will have uh, two records here that can be correlated with the session ID. And also we track situations where user are not able to log in, maybe mistyping his email address or whatever. So yeah, we have that. What other things do we logs here? These three things: command, query, proxy. A little words on command query. Um, I am also following the approach called CQRS. No, this application is not, it's not exactly a CQRS, but um, but what we have established here in the current framework is something to prepare our programmers to get into this mindset, the CQRS mindset, in the near future. So the idea is, for every little actions that user can do in the web page, it can be either a command. Command is something that that can manipulate or that can modify the state of the application, or a query. A query is just a simple query. It doesn't. It is not supposed to manipulate the system. So it's just a way to organize your code. For example, here, um, for this web page, we have this API. This example. These are commands, and this can change something in our database. And these are queries. So with the structure, well, in the code review, yeah, it will be easier to track. So whenever there's change to this code, the first thing that I'm going to do is to make sure that the rules are followed, that the programmer are not doing any state manipulation in the queries code, and things like that. So we track that. We track execution of commands, and if we need to, we can also track the execution of queries. So what do we track? We can track anything, everything actually. For example, in the command, of course, what is the command that was executed? What is the path? The HTTP path. What method is used? For this architecture, there's only we only use one HTTP method. It's not a RESTful. It's more like a RPC approach. So it's it's gonna it's gonna be post always. And this is the input, from user. So we store the input, and then the output. Well, in this case, we opt out from tracking the output, so it's null. Who is the user? Who is who access this command? And this is the its ID on the key cloak, and when the command was executed. Of course, this can raise a data privacy concern, especially when we, for example, if the command takes some user sensitive data, of course we are not supposed to keep that in our database, right? we can opt out. We can drop those pieces of data from the input through configuration, which I'm going to show in a minute. So we have the command logs, we have the query logs, and we have the proxy logs. Currently, we haven't implemented the proxy, but the idea is proxy is a proxy. I mean, maybe we need to call external system, whether in the same organization but a different department, or uh, system outside of the company. So those requests are not going to go directly from the client to that external system. It has to go through this application. So we can intercept that. We can you know takes care of the access. For example, we can exchange the token because maybe the external system requires a different token. So that kind of thing can be performed in the server side code here. So the idea is that the proxy code that we're going to implement will deal with all those scenarios. So again, programmer wouldn't have to worry about it. He can focus on implementing these the pages here and the commands. Yeah. The security aspect will be taken care of, automatically under the hood. So let's go back to the application. Let's finish the registration. Submit. So yeah, user is registered and it's logged in automatically. We can confirm that in two places. First, we can confirm that in the Keycloak. So there it is, Raka. So initially, he is assigned the free subscriber role. And we can also, and there's also another record created in our own database, that is the user profile. So here in user profile, the idea is we don't keep user sensitive data in our database like password. The password is managed in this admin console. Sorry, in the Keycloak. But we do keep a reference to the associated record in Keycloak. So that there's this linking between the Keycloak account and the user profile. So it's logged in. So let's check quickly and confirm that the login was recorded. There it is, Raka. He just did a login. Okay, so Raka, his role is free subscriber, and uh, it is configured here in this file that Raka, Raka can access the free page, but he cannot access the premium page because the configuration says only premium subscriber is allowed to open the premium page. That's why here you only see this menu, free page. So let's open the free page. Yeah, so this is the page, and this is the context. The context. I would call it action bar that is tied to this page. So let's see what happens when I click this one. So this action bar manipulates the page, and it changes the value like this. I'm using something called React Portal. That is something new in React 16. So uh, these elements, which is actually part of the page, can break out from this box and can be put anywhere in the page, like this one. These two menu items, they are outside outside of this box, but actually it's part of this of the page. We'll see later that when we switch page to the premium page, the action bar can change because we can code such that each page has its own action bar with different inputs, right? All right. So yeah, that's all we have in free page. Let me see, what do I need to show? Oh, here. This is just 4 buttons, just to verify that the policy checking are functioning. If we go back to this configuration, um, we can tell that free subscriber cannot execute this function, create premium document, nor the get premium document. So let's check that. Get free document, that's okay. Get premium document, we get 403, which is unauthorized. Create free document, it's okay. Create premium document is also unauthorized. So what happens if we upgrade this user to a premium subscriber? So currently in our application, in our sample application, we don't have a you know user interface to change the role of the user. So we have to do this in the Keycloak admin. So I'm going to assign premium subscriber. So it has two roles now, free and premium. So let's go back to the application and log in again with the same user. Submit. You see, now Raka can see the premium page because he is now a premium subscriber. You see as well that the action bar changes as you switch pages. And now you are able to execute the get premium document. What is going on? Oh, why is it refreshing? Something happens. Okay, it's a bit slow because these applications are not running in this Mac. It's running on my other laptop. Okay, yeah, we're back in the premium page. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, Raka now can execute the get premium document and as well as the create premium document. And of course the get free document. So let's log out. Boom. What else? Oh, yeah, going back to this configuration. Uh, at this point, we need to specify these policies in this YAML file in the project. But in the near future, we don't have to write these permissions because the initial idea is to have all those things configured here in Keycloak. So actually, we can do that with some API calls. Keycloak REST API. Boom. So uh, we can pull the authorization configuration right from the Keycloak and use it in our application code. So the idea is instead of having the programmer write this YAML file, our code base will pull all the informations that we have here, so resource, policies, and permissions. What else? Um, yeah, API tracking is also configurable, as I mentioned. Um, for example, let's say in the proxying scenario with some other company, external company. The external company is objected with, hey, you're not supposed to see the output to keep around the output in your database. All right, so what we can do is turn off the output tracking in the proxy call. Uh, what else? What other aspects worth mentioning here? So we use Keycloak, we use Next.js. Uh, well, we use Kubernetes, of course. Mm, just because yeah, these days we're not going to deploy it on a typical virtual machine Linux. We want to go with the modern approach with containerization, and I happen to be familiarized with Kubernetes and combined with tool name Helm. Managing your deployments is just so much easier on the cloud. For example, in the Google Cloud Platform or on Azure, we plan to deploy our applications on Azure, Microsoft Azure, which also has Kubernetes support. Yeah, why Microsoft? Well, because I've used Google Cloud and I liked it, but now for some business reason, uh, we need to switch to Azure. Azure. There it is. It has, and I've given a quick look on the features, user interface, and it's quite similar to the one uh, that Google Kubernetes uh, platform is offering. So there shouldn't be any problem because uh, yeah, it's cross platform. What else? I think that's all. So yeah, I think with this quote unquote framework, we can achieve uh, let's say optimum speed in developing our application because we have the important aspects covered. So that's always my idea. I don't want the programmers in our team, uh, you know, have to spend too much time on this. Maybe we call it non-functional aspects. We just want each one of us, or most of us, to focus on the functional things, deliver the functions you know to the client, right? I think that's all. I hope you enjoy this presentation, and if you have any questions, write it down in the comments, and see you later. Bye.